Okay, hey, welcome to an episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. It's a really cool showcase for you guys from the brand Haveston. A little about them, they were founded back in 2015. They are UK based out of London, and they produce high-end NATO style straps designed with both functionality and ergonomics in mind. If you guys are long-time viewers of the channel, you'll definitely recognize this brand, as it's one that's really been around since the very beginning of the channel, and I've been around since the very beginning of their brand, and I have absolutely supported them because I do, their theme resonates with me, as a prior active duty United States Marine, the military aesthetic, the level of attention to detail that goes into recreating and kind of distilling certain aspects of that aesthetic, I think works great. And today we have a watch that's going to be showcased along with it, which you guys can expect a full review from here within the coming days. But this is a little bit of a sneak peek of this really cool Vaer C4. But we're going to be talking about the straps today, and of course the brand Haveston. I like that they have expanded into other things. You guys will see even their latest set of coasters kind of hovering above the frame there. And those coasters aren't just for drinks. I mean, I use them really as watch cushions all over my place. Anytime I have a desk or a flat surface, anywhere I'd rather lay my watch down on something that's going to be a little bit kinder to the case, I have one of those really handy, so my desk is kind of littered with these things. So really cool to see them even expand that, from their classic dials, that are very recognizable within field watches and dive watches alike. Now even getting into some really cool chronographs. So we'll get into those, as well as, a nice little selection of some of their strap offerings, to include two-piece straps, as well as, the IVA style hook and loop, which is very, very cool as well. So with all that said, let's go zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, guys, now we have a wide array of different types of straps to look at today. But I think what we're going to start at is with this very interesting one here. Of course, it does resonate with my Marine Corps past. And it's a very cool one. This is known as the P-42C, and it's a two-piece strap, and essentially, within that, this patterning, which was developed all the way back in 1941, originally comprised of a reverse double-sided design with a jungle and a beach side. This references the jungle side of that pattern, and it's just really cool. It just, actually reminds me of old school G.I. Joes, because I'm not that old. I mean, my time goes back into OIF 1, but not much further earlier than that. So stuff like this for me is really classic, kind of throwback and homage to simpler times, grittier times for sure. But yeah, I really like these. These are basically canvas, and you can see they're quite thick and durable. They have a lot of nice stitching, a little extra reinforcement there. You even do get a sliding keeper here, which is nice, and then very nice signed hardware. You're also going to get quick release spring bars as well. So I'll make sure to leave all the specs and details down in the description, and just stuff so it doesn't get too overwhelming. If you want more details, definitely check the links to get the direct information there. But we'll go ahead and try pairing this piece because it's quick release, will be the fastest. Let's go ahead and get that paired up to this cool new Vaer tactical watch, which I think is quite a looker, good size, and it's even solar. So the nice thing about that there is that it's really going to be grab and go in nature. Let me give the crystal a quick wipe here. I have to say, wow, this loom is very, very potent. You can see the 3D nature. Definitely looking forward to doing the full review with you guys on the watch. But today we're looking at this very cool strap setup. Check that out. A little bit on the thicker side, so of course there's gonna be some initial stiffness, for me, because I haven't worn it before. But with my experience with these is, they do break down over time, and that is kind of the whole point, right? And yes, there are things you can get that kind of are already worn in and everything like that. But then there's things, where it's nice to be the one to wear it in yourself, right? It's why Carhartt jackets are so popular right now, is people like to have that duality of something that lasts, and taking that industrial, working grade aesthetic and then really kind of make it stylized. And I could see somebody taking, again, something like this that is definitely more of a tactical aesthetic and styling it. And I think that's fine. That's fun. Even if you aren't a veteran, I think this is something that anybody can partake in. And I think this looks good, but let me know what you guys think. I do think they did a good job with the thickness here. It is double layered for durability, but it's not overly stiff. And again, it's going to wear in over time, but I do quite like the look of that. And you guys can see I do have a slightly larger than average wrist at 19 centimeters or 7.5 inches. But it's also quite a tall and a round wrist. So it's not like flat and wide and accommodating or anything like that. So I do have to, pay attention to things like lug to lug length, ultimate dimensions and everything like that. And I will say that, yeah, this wears quite nicely and the fit is quite good. The nice thing is with that additional structure that you're going to get from the fact that this isn't made of silk or something, like a really soft nylon, is that it's going to help keep something like a mechanical timepiece planted. And I know this one isn't mechanical. This one is of course, solar quartz, but it's no lightweight. It has a nice full case and, a turning bezel. Ooh, very nice action on that as well. So yeah, this is traditional steel. This isn't like some lightweight titanium or anything like that. So I will say this does help keep it planted when you do have that structure. Of course, there's going to be no taper, but I think at 20 millimeters, that's fine. But let's go ahead and see what else we have on the table here. So moving right along, we have this strap here, which is part of that kind of AAF style Army Air Force. It does have that Parkerized roller or pin buckle, which is very, very cool. And then a little bit more of traditional in terms of that satin brushing that you're going to see on the hardware as well as the keeper and the floating keeper. So it's a nice mixture. So depending on what type of watch you have, whether it's brushed, whether it is, matte blasted, like you see here, the nice thing is you have some options. And I think there is a certain nicety that comes with it not being overly matchy. So it's going to have that tool-like aesthetic. Here you're going to have a very nice nylon, as you can see, two-sided, and on the underside, much more plush. But you can also notice that there's some great uniform stitching that goes all the way along. Then you also do have the reinforcements right here as well. So this is going to have that kind of desaturated gray exterior color, which is a very neutral gray. And then, of course, even more neutral on the underliner here. Kind of goes with everything, versus this is going to be more of a steel or admiralty gray tone, which is very, very significant within this space of, NATO straps and just military style designs. So this has more of a low profile styling. It does have a little step out here, which is a nice and kind of a callback to aviation straps, things you would see on like a modern IWC strap. So I do like that, but at the same time, they do more with it, right? They add more of those little cool details, but it all comes together in a very cohesive way. And I do like this tone. I feel like it kind of goes well with everything. Beautiful with a blue dial situation. But in this case, we're going to try it on this black dial. So very versatile from that perspective. If I gotta just hunt now for where it lines up, there we go. I'll do the same on this side. Okay, boom. And then I'll give the dial another quick little wipe here. Check it out. So very handsome, very, very versatile. Again, this is going to kind of play more into that aviation theme. And, with a watch like this that kind of can do it all, I think that's kind of fun to, again, see it go in between, more of a field aesthetic to more of an aviation or pilot's theme, and it still be able to kind of carry that, and of course this does have that tonneau shaped case. which can be more closely associated with divers, like, you know, the Slim Turtle / Slim Willard styles, but also, you know, within like a marathon navigation piece, you know, there's definitely kind of a bit of that Ben Russ aesthetic that's happening here, and also in terms of it having that, you know, mixture of a field watch and a dive watch and a traveler's watch, kind of a do-it-all tactical piece, and I think it does a really nice job. What do you guys think here? I do enjoy these straps a lot. I typically will have them for something a little bit more dedicated in terms of, like, you know, on a pilot's watch. I think these look really, really fantastic. But again, I will say now you're able to see the versatility here, to where, you know, just an overall kind of muted, more military tactical aesthetic is just going to go ahead and flow. So whether you're a veteran or, you know, an off-duty law enforcement officer, or even just an enthusiast who appreciates this aesthetic, and you love a good field jacket, you love wearing camos, you are into hunting, not hunting, or whatever it might be, you just like stuff that has that industrial or military grade feel to it, this definitely, you know, checks those boxes. So I do like that a whole lot. Now we get into something that's going to be a little bit more, I'd say it's a little bit tougher. Again, guys, full details and specs are listed on the Haveston site, but I'll try to leave some of the basic specs there for search engine optimization down in the description if you are interested. But something like this now, this is a very, very interesting and neat setup. So what you have here is you're going to go like that, right? And essentially it's hooks and loops. So you would go boom, you go bam, right? And then you slide these back, and then you slide them over. So this actually takes a bit of kind of shimmying to get everything lined up. So instead of me staying here in that, we'll cut away and we'll get it on mounted. Okay, as you guys can see on my 7.5-inch wrist, wears really well, very cool, very versatile, right? You have something that is, you know, inspired by space, air, land, and it's all here. And then you have stuff for kind of every day, right? When you look at the set C for the chronograph service style coaster set, pricing and everything like that, guys, the straps are normally around $30. These are going to go for just over about 20. So nothing crazy. These are great in terms of like gifts and whatnot, like stuff you want to get for folks. We'll go ahead and tighten up the frame here. So we'll get a little bit of less kind of distortion in terms of your perspective. Check that out. Of course, again, I do have a slightly larger wrist, so this is the normal length. This isn't the extra long length there, but it definitely fits the bill. Very, very solid. I mean, this is something that, again, if you're going to want to wear for a tactical situation, or, you know, one where you're really going to get rough and tumble, this is absolutely a very solid setup here. And I do like that. And again, for about $30, none of these are going to break the bank. And yeah, this one is a very cool, it's actually a variation. There's another one that's quite similar. This is their Navy B or Navy Bravo IVA strap. And it basically compromises of that navy blue nylon exterior with, of course, the, there's a black section here that you're going to find, on these, which is just going to be the Velcro. And then you're going to have the hook and loop style. And essentially it was inspired by this iconic, United States Navy Sea King, color, which was, you know, served primarily as the recovery vehicle for the Apollo mission. So very cool kind of tie-in to, you know, if you are, you know, an active duty, you know, one of my old shipmates there in the Navy. I was going to say seaman, but I don't want to get this video flagged. But yes, there is a rank in the Navy. And yeah, the Apollo missions 8, 10, 11, 12, and 13, you know, that's pretty cool that obviously when they were recovered from the ocean, you know, as they were, after they would get back into the orbit, and and land in the water, that they would be recovered by these Navy helos. So I think that's very fun and a great tie-in, and of course a great looking strap. Of course this would look great with the blue dial, whatever, but again, thanks to the black that's on here, whether it be the keeper or this one's a floating, they're both technically floating keepers. If you have a shorter wrist, you could scoot this one here, scoot that one all the way around on that side. It actually looks very tidy on a smaller wrist. I can actually just show you that here now, of how cool this thing looks. Of course, it's not all about just the Instagram of it, but there is something to be said about how fun and how cool looking you can make a watch when you're displaying it. So if you wanted to, you could absolutely scoot this up here, right, and this here, and that is a good look. So actually, let me zoom the camera back out here. If I can get it. Cool. Nope. I'm all messed up today. And that was the completely wrong dial I was hitting. There we go. So very, very cool. And of course you could have that locked in if you had a smaller wrist than mine. There is going to be some thickness that's added, so that's not for everyone or every watch, but I will say even with the thickness of this piece, it was fine for me to wear. Not my first choice from a comfortability standpoint, but from a stylistic standpoint, this is one of the coolest looking ones. I mean, typically for you to get a strap like this, you're rocking an Omega Speedmaster to get something that's going to have this level of attention to detail, and of course a story, right? Which for most of us, that's what our watch journey is all about, is telling a story, and our accessories kind of representing us, right? We're men, we don't have a bunch of purses or flair for shoes in the same way, to where those things can be ways for us to express ourselves. So somebody who was in a military uniform, in my utilities for years and years and years, your watch strap, the wheels that you decide to put on your car, those are just little forms of expression, and then even down to, which pocket knife you want to carry, or e-tool, or whatever it might be. I shouldn't say e-tool, but yeah, multi-tool, whatever you want to carry on your person within your EDC, or ways that, those little things can kind of, be personalized, and it's a way for you to kind of have that little bit of individual expression while you're wearing something, and you have a haircut that's uniform, your uniform's within regulation. So there's so many things that add structure, and it's nice to be able to add a little fun accent, pay a little tribute to past units, past times. So very cool, couple different options. Again, we'll see the full review of the watch, but then yeah, it's kind of a bonus. You get to see these, and then you get to see how I would use them. Bam. Yeah, I would just lay that there, or have it, again, if I wanted to have it all hooked in, then I'd have it out on its side or whatever, and there, now it's a little bit more protected, versus just having it, on a hard surface. So very, very cool. I dig this stuff. Obviously, the aesthetic is really nice. It's not too crazy, right? It's not going to be out there like this type of stuff. Just looks at home anywhere. Great for coffee tables, right? You already have some of those books that have all the old references in them and everything. So I think that's a lot of fun. And again, just something different from Haveston. We all know them for their NATO style straps, the single pass style, even the dual pass styles as well. So they just have a lot of variety, and this is just something a little different for 2026. But let me know what you all think down in the comments below. If you like the video, please like, and if you're already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.